Interesting to see how this could all play out for the opposition parties, I suppose, because we've seen, haven't we, the descriptions of Humza Yousaf, and his record isn't exactly glistening on the last three portfolios that he's held. Labour seems to be licking their lips. Can Conservatives gain anything from this?
Absolutely. Look, we have to be clear that Humza Yousaf, for all your listeners and all your viewers, that he was the health secretary, and an absolute disastrous health secretary. But he's also somebody who claims to be the first activist, who claims to be somebody who wants independence over everything else. He's not focused on the day job. He's not focused on the things that he should be doing. And he talks up a divisive referendum when really what we need is somebody to concentrate on things like the NHS. So what we are seeing is an SNP party who are split, and it is absolutely right that the Conservatives need to show the real alternative to the people of Scotland and get their trust.
Why would people vote Conservative, though?
It's very simple. We understand health. I'm a GP. I work in the health service. I get it. I get the issues that are going on, and we have produced a recovery plan which actually has ways of helping people straight away. We're not saying that we need more money. We are creating policy right now that we will be announcing at the end of April at our Scottish Conservative conference, and we are the party who are the real alternative. We are a party who have ideas and a party that are going to show the people of Scotland that we are serious about governing.
The Conservatives obviously recently had a leadership contest, and I think we've all seen how damaging these can be for the party themselves. In fact, some of the slurs or criticisms that were being put out there by Kate Forbes during this contest will be used now by the Labour Party, probably printed on every leaflet at upcoming elections, won't they?
They're not slurs. Those aren't slurs that Kate Forbes was saying. It was the truth. The record, and don't forget, Kate Forbes is part of the own government. She's the finance secretary to the government that she is criticising. This is a government that has never delivered. The biggest thing, the only thing that Nicola Sturgeon claims that she's ever done is the baby box. But when it comes to education, the government's record is terrible. The government's record at delivery of anything from ferries that will never sail to the NHS is abysmal. The SNP government is one that is inept. It's a government which does not deliver for the people of Scotland. And Scottish Conservatives are offering a real alternative to people because we are laser focused upon recovery of the NHS. We're laser focused upon education. We want to ensure that our justice system works for the victims and not, as the government are doing, a soft touch.
The SNP, though, many may argue, Doctor, that they are focused on independence, that they're focused on gender legislation as well. The Scottish people watching us today and listening to us today, how uppermost in their minds is this? Is independence the single biggest thing that when you wake up in Scotland, you think about first in the morning?
It is what the SNP think about first. If you watched their hustings, all they spoke about was independence. Humza Yousaf describes himself as the first activist. That's what he wants. He wants to break up our great country. Kate Forbes was exactly the same, and Ash Regan also talked about nothing but independence. That's not what the people of Scotland want. It's not what anybody in the UK wants. What we really need is a government that works for us, a government that is doing things like recovery in the NHS, is doing things like improving our educational standards. What we don't need is a government whose Humza Yousaf says his first act is to ask the UK government for a Section 30 or to hold another referendum, and who wants to challenge the UK government in court over the gender reform bill, which, let's be honest, they're not going to win because legal advice quite clearly is going to show that this is not something that they should have legislated over. And that's the problem. It's the competence of the government in Scotland. We need both governments, the UK government and the Scottish government, to work together for the betterment of the Scottish people. And that's what you would see if you had a Scottish Conservative government in place here in Scotland.
Quite aside from party politics, can I ask you a question as a man of an ethnic minority, how significant it is to see the first ever ethnic minority First Minister? Somebody pointing out yesterday that we've got Rishi Sunak as Prime Minister, we've got the Mayor of London from an ethnic minority of Asian descent, and then now, of course, Humza Yousaf as First Minister in Scotland, and also, I believe, the first Muslim leader in Europe. Does that matter to you? Is that of importance?
We have to congratulate Humza Yousaf and his family for becoming First Minister, and so long as he gets through the vote in Holyrood. But look, the Conservative Party have a history of promoting people to the top. We have had women prime ministers before anyone else in the United Kingdom. We have had Rishi Sunak already, who is the Prime Minister for all. And that is something that we need to really take very seriously, the United Kingdom Prime Minister. But look, it is important that people from any group can look up and say, yeah, I could do that. I can be in politics. I could be First Minister. I could be the Prime Minister, more importantly. And so that is important. But just regardless of race, regardless of creed, Humza Yousaf is somebody who is failing upwards in government. He is somebody who has done a really bad job at justice with the ferry scandal. You look at his record when it came to being Transport Minister, where that was just it was just not great. The hate crime bill, which isn't coming through as Justice Minister. So, and the NHS is an absolute disaster under his watch. And yet he has been made First Minister because he says he's a continuity candidate. And all that means is he's going to continue not delivering for the people of Scotland.
Well, you've made that point. It wasn't a political question, but politicians can't resist political answers. Dr. Sandesh Gulhane, thanks very much for your time this morning.